Welcome back to the Glint Standard. Today we're going to be talking about when is good enough. And this is a subject that Brad Cannell had asked us to speak about, and I think it's a great subject. What are your thoughts on good is good enough?
Ooh.
Where does your mind go immediately?
So perfectionist.
Perfectionist, okay.
yeah,
That can cause some problems, that's for sure, if you have some of that in your bones.
I do. I do. I know it gets me in trouble a lot. Yeah, because it's something I struggle with for sure.
I
Right.
think a lot of people do.
Yeah, I think so.
It's, I don't know if it's so much perfectionist as much as it is maybe just you just want it to be good. You
Yeah.
want it to be the best.
Well, you want it to be successful.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's a big part of what we're going to talk about today. I know when I was, I went through art school, and when I was drawing a lot, it used to be super detailed, and got to the point that by the time I got out, I was very loose and had a really hard time illustrating detail-wise because it took so long. I'm thinking, okay, time is money. How does it work? That plays into this,
Right.
this as well. So I think it affects a lot of people a lot of different ways. On the business side of it, just solving problems, taking ad agency like we have out of it,
Yeah.
solving any problem, right? Are you going slow to meet that, making sure all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, and it's just taking forever to get there and not trusting yourself is part of it. Okay, it's good. We gotta keep improving upon it, and improving upon it isn't a never-ending cycle at some point, right? So how do you know when to stop?
Yeah, and I think that's I remember I think back to as you touched on, right, the value of getting something, right? And oftentimes, are you taking that too far? Is it too little? Those kinds of things, right? And I think in our agency, I mean, because we have the Glint standard in place, we probably err more on the side of taking that a little too far at times.
Probably, yeah.
Where we really do try to push it forward, thinking of the brand's business side of it, right? And being like, we want this to convert for them, so it's just got to be a little bit better, and it's got to be a little bit more polished. But it went around on like Instagram. It's probably on TikTok now because that's how those things trend. But there was this video of a designer, right, or an artist, and they're drawing or sketching out like Batman, right? And it takes 10 minutes, right? And then they get 1 minute, and then they get 10 seconds to like design the exact same design, and you can see the level of detail decrease, and they're like, you're really not getting paid. Like, this is why you shouldn't be paid really on hourly work, right? Because yeah, I can do it in 10 seconds, but is it going to do anything, or is it really that great, right?
That's a good way to look at it, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I hear like when is good enough, I think about like we're not trying to hit that 10-minute mark,
Right.
but we're also not trying to do the 10-second mark. We're really trying to hit that sweet spot in the middle all the time, and it's just difficult to do that.
It is, and you're hired to do a goal, right? And one of the things we have here is, does it do the job? Okay, great, it does. Now can we take it further?
Yeah.
Let's think about this, spend a little time thinking about it in 2 or 3 completely different ways to see if we can improve upon it, because now we have it solved. And it takes a lot of that pressure and burden away. Okay, we've got something done. I don't need to take something to complete finish at this point, right? We're just trying to, is there a better solution? And sometimes that does take a lot more time when you discover there's a better solution. That's why we do the job we do, right? And I'm sure that applies in other industries as well. So it can become a challenge, but knowing when to stop, it has to be tied to something, because there is not a thing in the world that you really can't continue to tweak and make a little bit better, rethink on it some more, make it a little bit better. So time really starts to have the value there, right? And that's all we have to work with, right, is time. Time and what you're getting paid for that time.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's part of the struggle, right?
Right.
When I think of perfectionist, right, I'm
Right.
always going, I want to have that perfect solution. I want it to be so good. But as you said, it's a never-ending goal, right? So it's
Yeah, but do
there's-
you have that solution though? Maybe
Well,
maybe
yeah, and
you
it's
do.
working,
If with the
but-
clients going, that's the perfect solution, and you're going as an agency also, we're going, yeah, it could probably be a little bit better,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Let me shoot some holes in it.
Well, and I think of like digital ads, right?
Right.
And so like because that's what I was born in the industry, but
Right.
but when I think of that, right, I think of okay, I can't not just regular targeting, not just geo targeting or psychological targeting or any of that kinds of stuff, but then okay, now remarketing, okay, now list building, okay, now we're gonna put that in a CRM and do marketing automation, and now we're gonna do, and it's just this like never ending thing that you can continue to build on, even though you've accomplished the goal maybe in the first step, right? Like,
Yeah, and you know that if a client's paying you for XYZ,
yeah,
and it would be more powerful if it took, D, E, and F, right? And you went down that pathway, but the budget doesn't allow that. But you know that really needs to be there. Do you give it away, and do you just add that in there? And sometimes, wow, it really needs to have this. How are we going to do that? Because once you start giving that away, well, kind of what you're doing loses value a little bit too.
Right.
But you want to solve it the way it needs to be solved, but it's hard to hear sometimes if you're paying somebody to help you to go, now, if you add this package
Right.
or whatever,
yeah,
it'll be even better.
yeah,
You go, well, why didn't I get the best to start with?
yeah,
Well, what do you think? You couldn't afford the best. Is that what you say? I mean, there are ways to nuance around that,
Right.
obviously,
Yeah.
but you take the budget for whatever it is and you do the best you can with it. But it's hard, especially for us, to stop.
Well, and part of that is also like when we're talking about those things, right? Maybe it's the first time going after a new audience, right? I think that the best thing isn't try to do all this complex thing, right? The best thing is really, this is the audience. We need to target them first. We need to look at results, analyze that information, and then start to build remarketing lists, and then start to. So like, sometimes you don't want to buy the whole package right out of the gate, right? Because
Yeah.
that could take a ton of time to set up,
Yeah.
and really you're not getting much value.
And you're not going to use all of it probably
Yeah.
to start with. But eventually you'll get to that point, okay, now this
now
is
we're
solid.
ready to go.
Let's add these other components
Yeah.
now. And that takes us to a whole new level. And hopefully you have revenue coming in at that point. You can justify, okay, we should spend more here.
Absolutely.
And it'll increase your return on investment. Okay, that gets a little bit easier to justify.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah, I can lower costs and increase the
Right,
revenue. And
exactly.
they're like, oh yeah.
I think everybody's for that.
So,
I think the thing to remember, just down at the core of it too, is perfection doesn't exist. I mean, it just doesn't. There's always going to be something you can do, and if you've nailed it, whatever that is, a month later, maybe somebody's come up with something new, and you go, oh, that would make my thing better too. It's hard to get to that. It'll never be better than what it is,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, and I would say a lot of that is, and I struggle with this a lot of times too, is we're looking at, like as I said, I think of digital, right, or web or any of that kinds of stuff, and so I start to think about looking at all the stats. I'm a geek with stats. I really am.
Well,
and,
we all know that.
and so I'll
And
look
now
at,
everybody here knows
yeah,
that
I know. I'll look at all the stats and I'll be like, ooh, we could do this or this or this, and it's been maybe a couple of days, right? And it's like the reality is,
Okay,
I
so
need to
that's
let
a
it
good
run.
point.
I
Yeah,
need to let it
absolutely.
run.
Yeah, let's let it go, right? Start tweaking, adjusting
Yeah.
right away, and you haven't had anybody. Nobody's really had the chance to settle into it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Early in my career, I
can see
made that mistake. I remember one campaign I adjusted 3 days into it, and then all of a sudden it just dropped off. Like there was nothing happening, and I was like, "Oh no, what I break?" Like, and I started freaking out. I had to call support, but anyways, I got it adjusted. But it was because I was so eager to try to make and justify going, okay, yeah, like I gotta do more results. I can make it better. I know I can,
Yeah.
right? And the reality is that I could. I just had to wait for more results to actually come in to make a more educated decision and make that adjustment later, not 3 days into a campaign.
So then I think it's fair, tweaks are worth it if they're done at the right time, right? Otherwise, constantly tweaking really diminishes value as well. So you
Yeah.
have to be very careful with when you're going to tweak and what you're tweaking on. Is it really going to make something that much? Is it going to be significant enough to justify spending that time and making that adjustment? Or is it going to barely move the needle?
Yeah.
Because you want more global changes, and then you want tweaking adjustments over time, not constantly like we were talking
and
about.
the thing you run into is if you're making a lot of adjustments quickly, even if they're small things, and something starts to underperform or really overperform, which is even better, you don't really know what affected
caused
that.
it?
Yeah.
There's too many things removed.
Right.
Oh, I
Right. You're
gotcha.
pulling
Yeah.
too many levers at once, right? Kind of
Yeah.
thing. So, so doing it in a slower rollout process. Okay, we're going to adjust this, or we're going to add this thing, right? Like we're going to start remarketing now. Okay, like how did that affect it? You can't
Right.
just immediately go, oh, look at these results, and hopefully they're great, right? Like hopefully all your adjustments were justified. But it's hard to then go back and say, okay, what did we change that really caused that?
Yeah. So how do you feel like how do you know when to stop?
Usually, I mean, being on the business development side and talking with clients a lot, usually I feel that out with them, right? I talk to them, and we talk to our clients a little bit differently than other agencies. Like, hey, are you getting the results you're seeing? Instead, it's more of like, hey, how are things going in the business, right? Are you seeing growth of revenue? Are you seeing, the clients that we're having that are coming in? Because it may not be the quantity, right? It may be quality of leads coming in at that point and going, hey, yeah, like we've increased 20% of the leads compared to last month, but they're really not converting for us. So you start to go, okay, hey, we need to scale that back. We need to figure that out. So I think it's more of a, and I think that's the struggle with a lot of digital agencies very specifically is the communication side, back and forth with the clients, right? They're tweaking and going, yeah, like I got your cost per click down, and I got your conversions up, and look how good of a job I did. And it's like, but if it didn't result in cash coming in the door for the business, did it really do anything?
Well, not only that, but it could be one piece, and maybe an ad agency is doing a completely different campaign, and it's all driving, supposed to be working together. If you don't have somebody managing the entire process, you've got this working here and this working there, and underperforming could be as bad as overperforming.
Right.
Right. All of a sudden, you're let's just say a small business. You've got 50 employees or so, and all of a sudden you can't handle this flood of information coming in.
Mm-hmm.
You should have stopped tweaking and pushing for excellence
Right.
at a different level, because you should be achieving based on what the needs of the client are. And I think that's a hard thing to understand. It's a hard thing to get a client to buy into. We're going to take it as far as it needs to go, not as far as it can go.
Right.
But if you can go, here's why,
Yeah.
then they usually get on board with that.
Yeah.
And you're helping them grow the business. And I think what you just said makes a lot of sense.
Well-
That's really what we're doing. We're not doing ad campaigns.
Right.
We're not doing, digital. We're not doing TV. We're not doing any of those things. Those are products that we're producing to get to an end result of growing the business,
Right.
or bringing awareness to whatever that
Right.
that idea might be.
Yeah. That main KPI that they're looking to achieve. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say, like, a lot of that also reflects back to, overachieving is, as you said, not always the best move, right?
Right.
And some companies are just happy with, hey, I just want to maintain, my goal for the company is I need to make X amount per year so that I could open my second location. Great. We just need to make sure that you're at that level, right? You start going over that, and they start dealing with more issues than they are.
Well, they're saying, how much do I need to spend? And they may
Yeah.
be allocating more money. And if the money's on the table, what does every agency want to do?
Take it.
Let me have it, right?
Yeah.
Well, no, you really don't need to spend that much based on what you're trying to achieve. Help us understand why that's there, right? That's a client you'll keep for a very long time.
Well, and part of that is also oversaturation. I mean, that's a lot of people don't talk
A lot
about
of frustrated clients because of that.
Yeah, you have these amazing successful campaigns for 3 months, and then all of a sudden you see a drop off. Well, that's you've hit everybody, right?
And
I mean,
industries, pounding it right now.
yeah. I know one of the metrics we always look at is frequency with Facebook advertising, because if you're looking at that, it can tell you literally how many people are seeing how many ads, how often, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
as long as that stays under, I mean, this is my professional opinion, but as long as it stays under 3, you're good, right? Because that's 3 times within, whatever perimeter
Yeah.
you're looking at. So
Yeah. So at the end of the day, when is good enough? There's no clear answer on it, but if you make adjustments and tweaks, is it going to significantly impact the results quickly? If it's not, don't do it. Right?
yeah,
And wait, let things happen. Because that's the other thing about achieving for perfection, right? And when is good enough? It gives you room to adapt and grow with it, right? And learn.
yeah,
Versus trying to solve it all at one time. So that's the one thing I would leave everybody with is that's a good rule of thumb to go, is what I'm doing going to make it better for anybody else, or is I'm doing this for me? And you think about an illustrator, right?
yeah,
And we've had a creative director here, and the detail of the work was phenomenal. It would be so detailed, and then it's going to get reduced down, and it's going to be printed on something. No one will ever see it.
yeah,
But spend hours messing with it because it had to be just right. Okay, that's a place where we've gone too far.
Yeah.
Right? So it applies in a lot of different ways, but I think as a rule of thumb, that's a good way to maybe think about it.
yeah. And I would say, for me, I think it's more mindset, right? Understand that you're trying to achieve goals, yes, right? They're probably not going to happen tomorrow, right? So it is a long-term play, and so you don't need to constantly be tweaking and constantly be adjusting and constantly making all these changes when the reality is you're thinking of the campaign long-term, right? And we want it to be successful, and it might take a couple of months to get there, right? To really nail it in, to really dial that dial, right? Or pull that lever to exactly where it needs to be. And know that when you finally reach the point where both the client and the agency feel good about the results they're getting and their quality leads or quality traffic or whatever goal that is, right? Maybe it's audience growth and engagement, right? And all those metrics are starting to hit where they want to be. That's probably good enough.
And take it out of metrics and data, right? Is your audience getting what they need to make a decision the way you want them to?
Yeah.
If it's achieving that, then it's good. It's good enough,
Yeah.
right? So.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today. You can follow us on almost every single podcast channel now.
Which is pretty awesome.
I know. So, the Glint Standard, and also on YouTube, if you search the Glint Standard, we show up that way. But if you do have any questions, we appreciate them, obviously, and would love to hear from you guys. agency@theglintstandard.com.
Yeah, and Brad, really appreciate the subject. It's a good one. Probably go really in much more in depth with it as well. So if anyone else has questions, please let us know.